Hello, everybody. Welcome to the AM Film Podcast, episode 7, nearly double digits.
So it's taken us 2 years.
might be 3 now.
3 years, yeah. No, it is, yeah. Good lord.
So we'll get there eventually. First of all, I'd like to welcome the regular Bradley Evans.
Hello. Oh, regular. I mean, are we regular?
I mean, you're regular in the sense of his podcast.
Yeah, I've done one or two. Hello. Thanks for having me.
Hello.
You're welcome for me being
Anytime.
here.
Any year. And we're also joined by the one and only Mr. Moody.
Hello, how are we doing, gentlemen?
Hello, I'm well. That's very good. Well, nice introduction. That was nice. Thank you.
I try my best.
So if you had to describe yourself in one word, Bradley.
Panic.
And Moody.
Glorious.
Because his podcast called Glorious.
Oh, I see. Interesting.
I mean, we're not even a minute in and the plugs are going strong. So just to explain roughly what we're going to do, it's a new year. We're going to try one podcast every week, which is very ambitious one. Bear in mind we have 7 episodes over 3 years. So
We'd hope that if we do a one podcast a week, that our production values could possibly go up at some point. I mean, that's the dream.
Maybe in double figures it'll all go super fancy. Who knows? So we'll be alternating between this and the other Angry Microwave podcast. So they'll be alternating every week.
Oh, just monetize everything. We'll be rolling in it. It's fine.
Mate, we'll be so rich we can just fuck Collider.
Good lord. That's such a,
I'm not with them,
aggressive
Collider. I'm
intro.
sorry, I'm not with them.
This episode will be looking at our favourite films released and watched in 2017. So we're going to split up in half. So the first half will be films we watched in 2017 that were released in 2017 that we absolutely adored. And then the second half will be films we watched for the first time, which will be quite interesting because my film history isn't great. So I've tried to rectify that this year. So let's jump into our favourite films released in 2017. Do you want to throw one into the pond, Moody?
One of the best films this year for me is David Villeneuve's Blade Runner 2049. I absolutely adored that movie.
I think it's my top film of the year. I think it's gloriously shot, and I loved everything about that film. But sorry, yeah, I interrupted. I got very excited when I heard you say that because somebody on this podcast hadn't seen it.
Okay, I haven't seen it, but I've already booked. In February. I'm going to see the double bill of Blade Runner and Blade Runner 2049 at the Prince Charles in London. So I'm going to rectify this by seeing them back to back.
Why couldn't you see it in 2017 though?
Yeah.
Oh, don't ask me. I haven't got a car. There's no cinema that was playing it nearby. Although there is a new cinema opening up in 4 weeks in my hometown, which I'm very excited for.
Very nice. Yeah, Blade Runner is just it's like an amalgamation of just greatness and everything. The acting's brilliant. The script is brilliant. The directing by David Villeneuve is like a masterclass. He's one of the best directors out there right now. I absolutely adore him, and I haven't seen a bad film from him. For me personally, the cinematography, the visuals, like everything looks like it's real, and that's how great it is. It's like I just loved it. Everything was just spot on for me. The twists I thought were brilliant, and the character, it was all on Ryan Gosling's shoulders because he was basically our person we were always watching, and he's different from the beginning of the movie, and by the end he's completely different, and that's what I loved about it. He went through a complete arc, and it was brilliant. And I love Harrison Ford in it, even though he's not in it that much, but he was really good at the same time.
Yeah, first of all, it's nice to see Harrison Ford actually looking like he wants to be there. I think that's always nice.
Yeah, that's true.
After the last few years, we haven't really seen that a lot. But I love it when a big movie, an expensive movie, takes risks in regards to being complex. I think that's nice to see.
Yeah.
It's something like we see a lot with Chris Nolan films. Like he treats the audience like they're smart, and he doesn't have to spoon feed information. And I think a lot of people will enjoy the movie more second time round. I mean, my girlfriend fell asleep during the first screening. Very upset. That angered me a little bit. But yeah, I think a lot of people went in expecting one thing, especially because the original wasn't necessarily it was well known, but a lot of people hadn't seen the original Blade Runner. So I think with people going in to watch this, you had people watching that hadn't seen the previous Blade Runner, and I think it complements the original very well. Like, I just love this universe that's been built.
do you think it struggled from its marketing? Because its marketing was, it's a Blade Runner film, that's all you need to know. Or do you think it would have done better if it tried to convey the story of the film much more? Or because although it was acclaimed by critics, it didn't do great at the box office. Or do you reckon that was just what it expected to do?
I think the biggest hindrance, really, and it's a shame saying this, but the biggest hindrance it had was the fact that it was a Blade Runner film. Because, I mean, people forget that even though they've heard of the original Blade Runner, that wasn't exactly a groundbreaking film in regards to box office. I think it was in terms of spectacle, and I think it was in terms of the film that it was. But if you're making a sequel, especially that late, in the game, that many decades after the original was released, it was never, I think, destined to achieve great things at the box office, which is a shame because I think both films deserve the viewers.
I also think it would have done better if the original film had a full re-release, like over a week or so, because the only thing they had was the original and the double bill on the night it was released. I feel like it would have done so much better if they invested that Blade Runner maybe like at the beginning of the year, like right at the beginning, and had a full re-release over a week, and then people could get on board to what Blade Runner is.
The problem, you'd face one very big problem with that, which is what version do you release?
Well, I think Ridley Scott's confirmed the final cut is the proper cut he's meant to be for him. I think is right.
Yeah.
I think he's come out and said
the final cut was the one they used in double bills. As well.
So
that's no 12-year-olds went to see Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah,
only the really arty ones wearing scarves.
Yeah, basically. And Callum didn't go and see it either.
I'm going in February. It's fine.
Like I said, 12-year-olds didn't go and watch Blade Runner. But yeah,
so thanks.
I guess we've spoken about Blade Runner quite a lot, Callum, and obviously you haven't seen the film, so give us one of your top films of the year.
So one of my top films of the year is one that I'm guessing neither of you have seen because technically it wasn't released in 2017. So it's released in 2018, but I saw it at London Film Festival. So I'm including it in my list because there's been previews and stuff like that. So
how can you count this? I have to ask this before I'm sorry for butting in. How can you count this? It's 2018 movie, not a 2017 movie. You can't count it.
For me, are you ruling this out of this podcast there, Moody?
It's your podcast, sir.
What is the movie?
Okay,
is it a Richard Linklater film?
No, but that's also in my top 5. So at the moment, I've got a top 3.
Yeah, what's the movie?
So I'll run it down quickly because we're not sure of this. I'll do the two at the same time. So the final year was it's a documentary looking at Barack Obama's final year in office, and it's more about the people behind him. And it's such a fascinating watch. I think it's just over 2 hours, but it flies by, and you really get to know the characters behind him, which is a really interesting viewpoint. But it also kind of plays out like a horror movie, given the Trump administration and basically undoing everything they're putting forward about climate change and the Paris Agreement. You see that all going through, and it's a bit like. But I really enjoyed that. That's being released in mid-January.
It's nice to see a documentary on the list, actually. It's especially if is it getting a theatrical release?
I think it's theatrical, limited, and then it's also VOD on the same day.
Okay, well that's good to see.
So
I'll check that out.
I definitely recommend that. And then also Last Flag Flying, which, as regulars will know, is a Richard Linklater film, which I very much enjoyed, and it's not having a wide release, so that's a bit shit. So it's having a limited release in mid-Jan also. But I really enjoyed it. It's got Steve Carell, Lawrence Fishburne, and Bryan Cranston, and the three of them play really well. It kind of feels like a play, like in the way the dialogue is so important, and the series doesn't change much. So it's that kind of aesthetic for a film.
It's not. It wasn't universally well received, was it?
Not particularly. It was about the 3 or 4 star range. It kept going between the reviews. I really enjoyed it because I like being in Linklater's worlds. I mean, the dialogue and characters are always the best thing about his films, and I think it's kind of hard to review a film which doesn't really have such a strong story, but really strong dialogue and characters. So I think that's probably the reason why it hasn't. I want to see it again before I make my full judgment. So I just really enjoyed like being in one of his worlds again, and it felt like watching a play on screen without being really forced and over the top. Which in the London Film Festival is quite good because some of the films are very pretentious, and this just didn't seem like it was going for that angle.
Oh, that's good.
Well, I may or may not check it out.
So, Brad, do you want to throw one of yours into?
Yeah, we've talked about my my number one, which was Blade Runner. I did. I mean, I had mine in order. I mean, that's how seriously I I thought about it. So I guess the next two, a podcast not earlier on in the year, it's 2018 now, wasn't it? Late last year, we were talking, and I think we assessed it about 6 months through the year, didn't we? We had like top films of the year so far. My number one at that time was American Made. It did drop down my pecking order a little bit. At the time, I know it's a film, but on second viewing, I'm probably not going to love it as much. But I just think it's a crazy ride. It's crazy to think that all of this stuff actually happened. I think it's deliciously shot. I just think I love Tom Cruise in it. I love this Tom Cruise. I think we've been missing this Tom Cruise for some time, and it's just great to see him have fun with this character. That's definitely. Have any of you guys seen American Made?
Sadly, I have not. I really wanted to, but I missed it. I got really busy and I missed it. But I've heard good things about it, especially with the disappointment. Well, we kind of foreshadowed that the Mummy was not going to be good, so
right. Yeah, It is a shame. To be fair, they did come out, I think, in quick succession. So at least Tom Cruise did have this in 2017. So that's definitely one I'd recommend people checking out. It is shot in that kind of like documentary style, which sometimes frustrates me because the shot will linger on nothing when someone's already walked off the frame. You know, so that kind of is frustrating. But it kind of goes well with the pacing of the film. I definitely recommend watching that. The second one, I think, has actually gone up my list quite a lot last year. The more I've thought about it, and that's The Beguiled. Sofia Coppola's The Beguiled. I just adore that film. Again, it plays out like a play. It's got an incredible cast. Similar to what you were saying actually about Blade Runner. People will love it if they're invested in the first 10-15 minutes. I think if you're not hooked in that early, then I think you're kind of going to be out of the film, because it's not one that's really going to hook you in. But I just love the way that Sofia Coppola handled that film. Didn't necessarily get a massive release. I know not a lot of people really have seen it, but it's certainly one that's added to my Blu-ray collection. I just adore that film. I think it's great.
Yeah, I didn't see that. Like I said, it was very limited release, and I missed it sadly.
Okay, so one of my most anticipated films was Edgar Wright's Baby Driver, which comes in number 5 on my list. Have any of you guys seen Baby Driver?
Yeah,
Baby Driver is fantastic.
I've seen it 3 times in the cinemas. Yeah.
and does it feature in your top 10 lists, or?
I think it's about number 9 or number 10 on my top 5. I loved it at the time. And I know that when I watch it on Blu-ray, I'm going to love it all over again. It's just when I'm thinking about my favourites of the year, I'm thinking of films that stayed with me, and the films that kind of give me something to think about. But that's not to take away from how great Baby Driver was. I adored that film.
Yeah, I do think it was a very easy ride of a film, which possibly has kind of screwed it over by releasing in the first half of the year. Like, maybe if it was released in November, it'd still be on people's minds more. But I mean, the soundtrack's amazing, and I was watching a thing on YouTube yesterday about how you see lyrics in all the graffiti as he walks by, and the thought behind it is very Edgar Wright in that every detail there has a value within the film, which I really appreciated.
I have a confession. I'm not the biggest Edgar Wright fan. I've never really liked the other films he's done before. Didn't click with Shaun of the Dead, and I didn't like the other ones. So I was not very looking forward to go and see Baby Drive, but I went to go and see it. Go and see it. I mean, good things. Went to see it and I loved it. I won't lie. So it's number 6 on my list, and I absolutely adored it. It was number 1 for a long time until other films came out. So
okay, so I'll throw another film into there. So La La Land was technically released this year in the UK. And I adored La La Land. What about you guys?
La La Land's a very good movie. I really enjoyed it.
So, I saw it first time with Brad, and I'll be honest, I wasn't the biggest of fans. Then I rewatched it again, and I found like a new love for it. It was amazing, and since I've seen it with a full orchestra, which is an amazing thing to do, because the soundtrack is amazing. And it was just one of those films that stayed with me, and literally I can start watching it like whenever it's on Netflix or whenever it's on TV. I can literally start watching it and pick it up.
It's a great film. There's no doubt about it.
No, I enjoyed that film, but it didn't stay with me. Like I had a good time watching it, but I couldn't tell you the characters' names. I couldn't really tell you what happened. But it is a great time, and it's very well put together for such a young director, which sickens me. He's so talented, it's disgusting.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, what is it, like 12? Like, come on.
he would be that 12-year-old going to see Blade Runner, wouldn't he?
Exactly, yeah.
So, should we just throw some films out there quickly before we move on to our next topic?
Yeah, no
films we
worries.
loved in 2017?
No. I think it's unfair not to mention Dunkirk. Christopher Nolan did I love that movie. I know people say, oh, it doesn't have a story, thinking that it's the event. The whole film is just the event to see this movie and whatnot. And I loved it. I absolutely adored it. And I think it's one of his best movies out there. And I'll also throw out Get Out. Get Out was such a surprise this year. And I didn't think I was going to like it. And I walked out loving it.
Yeah.
So quickly going back to Dunkirk, there seems to be quite a different generational shift. Like all the young people I know seem to like it, but all like my dad and my dad's friends seems to not really like it, which is quite interesting. It just seems to be quite a weird divide.
But I think that's because of the storytelling. Like I think a lot of the old generation walked in expecting like a simple war movie, and the fact that it was such an event. But like if you talk to or if you watch interviews of the soldiers who are still alive, like one of the guys went to the premiere. And he said he cried because it felt like he was there. And that's the great thing about that film, is that it's so immersive. And the way that he's told that story is I think, such a bold way of tackling a war movie. But yeah, there's 2 times in my life that I've walked out of a cinema and I've been in awe of the sound design. One of them was The Impossible, where with Ewan McGregor. The sound design in that film is impeccable. Like, it's haunting. And the second time was Dunkirk. Like, I felt every gunshot in that film. Like, it was scary. Like, if you go into a cinema and watch that film with the correct sound, so not a Cineworld, then it's. I think that's kind of half of the film.
I totally agree. I mean, I watched it the other day on my 4K Blu-ray player. It was the first 4K film I saw at home with a surround sound system, and it lived up to being in the cinema. So I really think it's right that you have the surround sound and you have the TV and you have the quality when watching it at home, because when it's on TV, it won't live up to it on TV, like if you're watching it on Sky Movies or whatever. But I think it's worth investing in 4K if you've got that kind of technology to watch these kind of films. I think they really deliver it at home for like the first time.
So let me guess, you got an Xbox One X then?
I bought an Xbox One S just for a 4K, and I haven't played any games on it because PS4.
Don't tell Corey that.
Get Out again was another one that actually stayed with me. I didn't know what I was expecting. I heard a kind of a buzz going about it, but I wasn't too sure what kind of buzz it was. I've just read a lot of articles that had said that this film is so surprising. And again, that's a film that every now and then, if I hear someone talking about it, I would talk about it with them, because even if they're a stranger on the tube, I'm that guy. You know, I'm like, let's talk about it, because I think it is a different movie. I think it's a brave movie, and I think it's an important one. I think it's a great experience watching that movie.
Also, the Big Sick.
The Big Sick.
Big Sick.
I watched the other day. Is an incredible film.
I watched it. I didn't realise it's a true story. I didn't realise it's his story.
Yeah.
I was right after it. I did so much that film. Like, I wished I knew that before.
Yeah, but again, a film that I watched a bit long. I think it's a bit long in the tooth, but I think it's a great comedy, and it's a great drama as well. Like, it has some drama that I wasn't expecting. And yeah, but I think it's just such a great watch.
20th Century Woman. I watched that, which I really enjoyed. It had a very boyhood vibe out of it. It was very coming of age. I just really enjoyed it.
You bloody liked it.
Name drops Boyhood. I think that's like 9 episodes in a row.
There's not one episode you haven't talked about Boyhood, and quite frankly, I'm sick of it.
I also realised at the beginning I said episode 7, it's actually episode 9. So there you go. I can't bother to fix that now.
When will the lies end? The other two films that I just wanted to quickly mention. One was Wonder. I know it's been very hit and miss with people. A lot of people didn't like it. Film subjective, that's fine. I personally walked out with such a massive smile on my face, and the way that story is told, what I thought was not what I was expecting, and I actually really enjoyed the fact that they kind of managed to shine the light on the characters that are normally just background noise in a film. I won't go on too much about that because it is still in the cinemas, I believe, in a few places. And the last one was Detroit. For me, that film came out at a very strange time of year.
August, wasn't it?
Yeah, very strange that it was released in August. And when it goes hand in hand with the trailers, I think it's a little bit misleading because it's not a summer movie at all. But I think what Catherine Bigelow's done with that story is she made me feel angry. You know, she made me almost cry, and she made me think about the way that certain things are run, and the fact that all this was based on a true story. It just made such an impact on me that I wanted to mention that on this list because I certainly think that people that haven't watched it, I definitely recommend watching it.
I enjoyed Detroit, but it just didn't land how I wanted it to for some reason. It just didn't. The performances are in it are absolutely brilliant. I hope the one who got the most love, the one who was the biggest racist in the film, gets at least some love at the Oscars. I would love to see him getting love, but I don't think he's going to.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to because it came out so late, or in August basically. Well, and I loved the trailers. I loved everything about it, and I loved Bigelow's last film, Zero Dark 30. It's one of my favourite films of all time, that one. I absolutely clicked with that. But it just never went... I don't know, it just didn't click fully for me, but I did enjoy it, just never... I never did put it in my top 10s.
I understand that. Do you think that's possibly because of the pacing? Because a lot of people who have said the same thing that I've spoken to have said that it just feels an hour longer than it is, which is obviously a big problem for any film to have, really.
Yeah, I think if they basically started at the beginning of when the whole thing happened, or literally 5 minutes, 10 minutes before then, instead of half an hour, I think, that would have been that. Then you're straight into it. You're straight into it and not saying... Because you're all waiting for this big thing to happen. And then when it happens, it's shocking and it's, oh my God, and everything. But until that happens, you're just like... What's going on here? What's going on here? Why am I following this person walking up there? Why am I seeing that and what? And thinking,
it does seem like it has a 45-minute prologue, which is a bit of a problem.
Yeah, I think I see why she's done it, because she's not saying it's not just this incident; it's the whole city. That a lot of the city that is racist towards black people and everything, and how bad black people were treated in those times. I could see why she expanded it, but I think if she made it smaller into that condensed part, it would have always been better overall.
Yeah.
I see why.
So, shall we run through and say our favourite film of 2017, released in 2017?
Okay.
Go on, Moody.
Blade Runner 2049.
Brad?
Blade Runner 2049.
Mine was La La Land, so I've kind of ruined that, haven't I? So, moving on to our second topic, one of two topics today. It's our favourite films watched for the first time in 2017, which I think is a very interesting subject to talk about and isn't always brought up.
I've got this idea and it's fantastic.
Literally, how many times do you hear people say like the films they saw for the first time in 2017?
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? There's like this weird. It's like a hush topic. Like you're not allowed to talk about films you've only just seen for the first time because you were supposed to watch it 10 years ago.
Exactly, and one of those films would be Terminator 2: Judgment Day.
I hate you. How have you not seen this movie yet until last year?
Who knows? But it's amazing. I wish someone told me.
Callum, literally, when I see you next, you might have a slap coming towards you, mate.
So to give my overview of my past with the Terminator series, the only Terminator film I'd watched prior to 2017 was Terminator Genesis.
I knew he was going to say that. Have you not seen number one either?
Pardon?
Have you not seen number 1?
No, I watched Terminator, well, the Terminator, the day before I saw Terminator 2 in the cinema because it was re-released.
Yeah,
so I was just waiting all these years to go and see it in the cinema. So that was my thing.
Bullshit.
And it really lived up to it.
What if it never came back to cinema? What if it never came back? You would never have seen it, would you?
I probably wouldn't have. But this also goes to my second film, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I only saw that because it was re-released in cinemas, which is also an amazing film. Why does no one talk about these films? I mean, that's what I'm asking.
People do, mate. They did.
They every bloody day, Callum. You don't, because you've only just seen them.
So there's just 2 films that I saw for the first time, which I very much regretted seeing for the first time because they were so good, and I should have watched them years ago.
Yeah.
So did you guys see any notable films for the first time?
I have got into Asian cinema quite a lot. At the middle to the back end of last year. The great thing about studying film is that people recommend things that you wouldn't normally have seen, and that's the great thing about film circles, that people bring up a film and you didn't know that was a thing. But I got into the 1950s, 1960s Akira Kurosawa films, so like The Seven Samurai, Rashomon, and Yojimbo. All of these films are just incredible storytelling. To think that films like this were being made in the 50s, 60s, I think we kind of take for granted sometimes how films are made and the rhythms and the patterns of films. But to see how these kind of ideologies come together in early filmmaking was just a great experience. And all of these films are about 3 hours long, which is, I couldn't watch them back to back. But it's just an incredible experience to watch a new style of cinema, because obviously we've become very accustomed to the American way, and it's nice to every now and then just watch a different kind of film. So anyone that's interested in kind of expanding their kind of filmography and the Blu-ray collection, try and grab an Akira Kurosawa film, because it's certainly something to behold.
Yeah, I sadly haven't seen Seven Samurais, but I do intend to. Especially, I've heard that's so influential to films in the West and everything. So yeah,
absolutely,
I need to definitely see that. For me, I'm gonna go a little Asian as well. I reviewed it this year, but I didn't see Princess Mononoke until 2017. I absolutely loved that. But also what enriched my viewing for Blade Runner 2049. I watched the Blade Runner Final Cut before I saw Blade Runner 2049, and I also saw Psycho for the first time as well that year.
So Psycho's on my list this year to watch. I feel like I'm slowly losing all my credibility on this podcast.
Did you have credibility in the first place?
Maybe it wasn't the best topics to bring up. So some other boyhood-esque films I watched for the first time this year. It should be
Did you just throw that name? Did you just throw that word boyhood in just for the heck of it, just because you love that movie so much?
It's very boyhood-esque. I watched Sing Street for the first time. Have you guys seen Sing Street?
No, I have not.
No, I haven't actually. No.
Literally, please go and watch it. Like before the next podcast, it is unbelievable. It's so good, and it's got such a cult following now. Like Den of Geek always go on about it. Empire always go on about it. It's just got one of those cult status films, which was only released 2016.
Is it still on Netflix? Because it was on Netflix, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's on Netflix, or it was on Netflix. So I presume it's still on there. But it's so good. Please just go and see Sing Street.
Did you say it's boyhood-esque?
It is boyhood-esque, but it's not.
I refuse to watch it.
Okay, it's not boyhood-esque then. Please just go and see it. And the other one was Almost Famous.
Oh, okay.
Which I really enjoyed. For anyone who doesn't know, it's about a kid that ends up writing for Rolling Stone and going on tour, which is I really enjoyed Roadies for TV series, which was directed by the same guy. So that's how I came to watch Almost Famous, and yeah, it was a great time.
One film I watched in 2017 that I was not expecting to like. And I didn't want to include this in the same conversation as 50s and 16 Kurosawa films because that makes me sound classy, right? I watched Ella Enchanted. Now, that film it should be tripe, and I believe it is tripe. Okay, but this, you know, when you watch a film and you're like, this is bad, but I love it so much. Like, I also watched The Room for the first time.
I've not seen The Room.
Oh, you need to watch it. For me, I don't even think it's bad. Like, it's so past bad that it's... He must have intentionally made it that bad. You can't accidentally make something.
Well, I didn't realise that most of the fucking rooftop scenes are green screened for no reason.
Yes, absolutely no reason whatsoever. And it's so obvious. Like,
and also, I think the greatest mystery about this film is that it cost like several $1 million to film, and no one knows how he got this money.
Yeah.
Literally, it's just not talked about.
Drug trafficking, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I'm not going to start rumours, but...
We are not making that accusation on here. We have not got enough money to be sued.
Do you think any of them are going to see this podcast? No offence.
Yeah.
For the sue us? I don't mean that in a bad way.
I think this is Tommy Wazoo's premiere film podcast.
I'll tweet at him when you upload and say, we are insulting you on this podcast. Come check it out.
In which case, I'll take it back just in case.
Thank you. So, any more movies people want to throw into the ring that we saw for the first time? This is a no judgment zone.
Oh, it is, Callum. We've judged very hard.
We've judged you, mate. We've judged you, mate. Don't worry, Callum. I'm trying to think if I've seen another one that I haven't seen before.
I watched Patterson for the first time, which is Adam Driver. Literally,
that came out last year, didn't it? Technically for the UK, didn't it?
This is what I thought, but it came out in November 2016. So I saw that in the cinema though. So, but it was released 2016.
Let the Right One In, the Swedish horror film. It had an American remake which I hadn't seen. It's a good few years old now, but I watched it for the first time last year, and it's such an incredible film. I mean, it's not particularly a horror film. I mean, it has vampires in it, but like the way that it's told more like a you know, I'm not even going to say, just watch it and get back to me. Like, it's different from what you'd expect. That's aimed at you, Callum. Watch it. Class up your life a little bit.
I'm so
We'll
sorry.
tell you when it's in cinema again, Callum.
So just out of interest, who are you? Are you on Letterboxd? I know you are, Brad.
Who, me? Yeah, I've just opened an account.
It's one of the best things you'll do because you can track it through your whole year, and then it makes your end of year list very easy to see which ones you watched for the first time, which one you really rated when you saw them. It makes doing this podcast very easy, this specific podcast. So
I'd say one of the most important things you can do is donating your time to charity and giving blood. But I mean, yeah, it's up there with that.
Literally the same thing. Letterboxd and giving blood. So I think that's it for this podcast. So the thing we do at the end of every podcast, we recommend one film. Oh, we're not going yet. Come on. So we recommend one film, and I've kind of themed it this week. It's one film released in 2017 that people may have missed. So, Brad?
Oh no, I was hoping it wasn't going to come to me first. That's okay, yeah. So I'm going to stick with Blade Runner 2049 for the same reasons that we said earlier. I feel like it bypassed a lot of people, which is a shame. I feel like it's certainly worth your time. And Callum, you missed it, so that's one for you. You're welcome.
I'm already booked.
For me, it's Wind River. That was such a surprise. It was so good. I loved it. I thought it was definitely one of the best films of the year that when it came out. But it came under the radar. It was only in like one cinema around my area and whatnot. So I didn't know if it was full wide release for everybody in the UK. So if you missed that,
it wasn't even released near where I live. So yeah, I missed it, unfortunately.
Yeah, Wind River's definitely a great film. Trying to remember the names in the film though. I'm completely spacing out. Hawkeye and Scarlet Witch.
That's the Jeremy Renner film, isn't it?
Yeah, that's him. It's the best you've seen Jeremy Renner in a long time.
I've heard that, yeah.
That's how great it is. He's so good in it, and it's shocking, but also it's just so well done. I loved it. Cinematography was beautiful as well. For it was well done. I really enjoyed it.
Great. And mine is Brawl in Cell Block 99. Have either of you seen this?
Say that again.
Brawl in Cell Block 99.
Oh, that no, I didn't see that.
Is that the Vince Vaughn film?
Yeah, that's the Vince
It
Vaughn.
is the Vince Vaughn film. It's the very unsurprising sequel to The Internship. So it has it was one of those weird releases where it was in some cinemas and it was VOD release, so I think it really missed people's radars.
Mm-hmm.
It is so brutal that I was not expecting it to be as gruesome and as violent as it is, but it's really enjoyable. It's definitely a journey you go on with Vince Vaughn, and it's quite a nice contained story. So and it's on Amazon Prime Video now, so if you have that, you can go watch it for free. So
Callum's getting paid.
And if you'll use my referral code. So definitely check that out. So I think that's it. Does everyone want to plug anything? Rudy?
Yeah, I would like to plug my movie podcast, the Glorious Movies Cast. We are returning next Tuesday. We've been off for Christmas and New Year, but we're returning with our top 10 lists for both best, worst, and most anticipated movies of 2018 and 2017, respectively. So yeah, we're back next week. Me and my co-host Daniel Fox.
I definitely recommend it. It's very good. Bradley?
Hello. I'm going to be making a short film this year. So you can just add like a little annotation or something to this video in about 6 months' time. That would be great. Thanks.
Sure. And I'm obviously plugging this podcast that I'm on. Although if you already watched it this far, I mean, you've already got problems, so who knows. So we're going to be alternating, like we said, every week, and hopefully get one of these up every 2 weeks, and the Angry Microwave podcast, which is more games and more generic, and probably I really want to talk about Lego, so we might talk about Lego on it. So
the reason he's looking to his right is because he has a giant ass cupboard full of Lego.
So you must have been so disappointed when that game got cancelled.
Which game?
Didn't Lego Dimensions get cancelled now?
Oh yeah, I literally spent all my money on it, and now you can literally go and buy them at Poundland. So great.
So you should have waited until this was there. You could have gone all cheaper.
I should have waited. So yeah. Oh, and also we announced the other week. It's very ambitious. We're gonna make 2 original short documentary films. One of them was made a couple of years ago and couldn't be released for reasons I can't say. So that's coming out this year in May time. I mean, hopefully we're going to make another one. So that's a thing. But yeah. Okay.
I can see the Lego behind you.
All of this is my... I've got 2 of these of sealed Lego that I need to build.
It's like he's looking at me just because I don't like his fucking movie. It's like he's looking at me, K2SO.
Leave him alone.
The thing is, he's the only good thing about the bloody movie. And the last 5 minutes.
I watched Rogue One again the other day. It holds up.
I feel like this is kind of trailing off now.
Some great tangents. Also, for some reason I don't know, I have mannequin's head, so that's the thing. If you listen on audio, this probably sounds very weird.
Yeah, this ain't getting creepy at all right now, what you're holding there, is it?
But yeah. Okay.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye.